All right, we are in motion. Hi, Libra, that's you. This is Tarot Illumination with your general report, March 2018. We're going to use the Journey of the Heart spread. Cards well shuffled in advance. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. There's not enough time. There's not enough space, not enough room. Now, for you, Libra, this March season, it's all about Neptune in Pisces and Sun in Pisces and Mercury and Venus and Chiron in Pisces. It's a big fat stellium. It tapers off, of course, towards the end of the month, but it comes in with a real bang right at the beginning of the month with the big new the big full moon on the Pisces Virgo axis. So you're going to feel that in the health sector, your lifestyle habits. Like, are you smoking too much? Are you drinking too much? Are you sleeping too late? Are you hitting the pipe too much? Are you overworking? Are you self-medicating? Whatever it is, all those kind of health issues that might come to the surface. Now, the thing is, for you, Libra, it's over here. So by the end of the month, you're going to have these like a big light is going to be shining on that sixth house over here for you, Libra. I know this looks upside down, but you know, it's a universal chart. This would be for Aries. So this is for Libra. So you might find out an awful lot about what's not working for you regarding your lifestyle and habits. Okay. Please treat it as a blessing. It's a chance to reveal it, to heal it, so you can figure out what to do next. Okay. All right, so let's just get on with it, okay? Cards are very jumpy, and I don't know why. It's kind of rare, so please bear with me as things settle. Tarot Illumination is bringing TL angels into the reading, so please, I invite you to bring your own angels here too, and we can share, all right? Just make it a team effort, okay? Maximize the opportunity here. Goodness. Okay. All right. Here we go. So let's cut it up. I'm going to do a very weird cut here to try and break up the energy. All right. There we go. Remember, this is for lots of people. It's not a private personal reading. It's just a general spiritual broad spectrum reading from the heart outwards. Okay. Here we go. This is your core heart energy pulsing at the core. The heart knows what it needs, knows what it wants, and it needs to get that, okay? And it's up to you, Libra, to feed that to the heart. The heart is that pump. It brings in all the nutrients that you need. It pumps out all the wastes, okay? What are you bringing in with you? Legacy energy. What is it? Like, you know, past life karma? Having been maybe you've been really shaken up by the eclipses, the Leo Aquarius eclipses. They might have been very harmonious for you. Maybe you're having a really sweet ride. Who knows? What about the energy of right now? This is the ever present now. It's not just March 2018. It's the moment. It is the moment right now. Even in this reading, as we shift through the reading, energy will shift, and we're always in the now. Sometimes it's not very comfortable, because it's much easier to lean on the past and the status quo and make our projections from there to the future. Like, well, what did you expect? Duh. On the other hand, in the now is where all your possibilities and options lie, is really, that's where anything can happen. If you tune into it, that is. So it's with the healing power of your decisions that you take advantage of the now and staying in there. It's just that people don't like to be there a lot of the time, because it means you have to be totally present, totally clear, conscious, and aware of who you are and what you're doing and why. Okay, so how are you going to make these decisions effectively in a way that's very nutritious for you, so that you are making loving, deeply self-loving decisions that nurture the heart for what the heart needs. Some needs are universal. We all need love. We need water, food, shelter, companionship, all of that thing. But each of us individuals as well, okay? So how are you going to do that for you personally? Consequently, like, this process here would automatically bring consequences. If you're abdicating yourself in the energy of now, and you're just let's say, living your life on autopilot, then this energy might feel more like fate. But we're going to just say, uh, by we're just going to state that you, Libra, are really highly evolved, and yet you are consciously, deliberately making the most loving decisions that you can all the time. But what if you mess up? Uh-oh. What if? On the other hand, what if you do a good job? What if you are nurturing yourself, loving yourself? Okay. And then the prospects, the momentum that takes us right into the next heartbeat. There's you, and then there's you at the core. So circumstantially, let's have a look. You're going to make the best of this. You've got the Emperor. Now, I'm not going to do what a lot of people might expect. I'm not going to call that card what a lot of people call it. All I'm suggesting here with the Emperor energy, it's really, to my feeling, it's really, really important to understand the energy of absolute power, the energy of dictatorship versus the energy of the benevolent dictator, and power in absolute terms. Like perhaps, Libra, you're in a situation where, gosh, how am I going to do this without hurting your feelings? Where your sense of absolute power over your dominion is being threatened, and you're becoming exposed to yourself in your power, so to speak. Like when this, for example, what I'm trying to do is this. When this energy really kicks in for real, and you can start to see all your weaknesses and your failings and how so many habits could be on autopilot that are not serving you, that are unhealthy. They can put you in a spot where you are diminishing your absolute authority and power over your life and yourself. And so the whole question of your integrity becomes at stake here, because you might be your own worst enemy without even knowing it. Okay? And there's no point in trying to bully your way through this, or think that I am just who I am. And if I want to smoke 2 packs a day, that's what I'm going to do. Or if I'm just like determined to be the most awesome fitness freak ever known, and I'm sacrificing everything for it, and just to prove that I'm awesome, then fine. But there's other ways to, you know, live in one's power, one's authority, without having to like force the issue. The emperor in its ultimate expression would be the benevolent dictator who's very, very aware of what's good for himself and what's good for his people. And oftentimes what's good for his people can be good for himself, but sometimes the emperor doesn't see that. Sometimes the only thing that they care about is themselves, and like the world around them is just something from which they get. So I feel the energy of absolutism is at play here, and where your natural tendency to be, let's say, benevolent and your gracious, sociable, loving Libra self that you are, is being called into question, because to me it feels like you're maxed out being the Libra in the old way, to the point where you're like having to force your power rather than fix the habits that would be undermining your power. Let's have a look at the core heart energy here. Well, with the 5 of Wands going on, it feels to me that deep down your heart knows that this March season is a really good time for you to come to grips with this stuff. If you're wrestling with self-esteem issues, or wrestling with anything about you and yourself, the person that you see as your most awesome self in the mirror, and anything that's not up to this standard is being exposed, then please see that as a blessing, and it's a challenge that has to be met. Your heart wants this. Your heart wants to rise up and face these issues, so that you don't have to live in a diminished version of yourself because of just poor lifestyle choices and poor habits. Okay, what are you bringing in with you? Okay, my feeling here is that there's a little bit of energy out of control here, where you're absolutely convinced of your own righteousness, to the point where you're going to insist on proving it if you have to, even if it's not fun. Have you heard that expression, or that question, like, hey, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? And there's a big, big difference. When you're going into battle when you are faced with battle and you have to maintain your integrity. And let's say a situation arises where your integrity, your awesomeness is challenged, like someone is coming up and challenging you and say, huh, dude. Like pretend you're watching like one of those swords and sandals action movies, and the big hero is being nudged very, very aggressively by a competitor or an enemy, and they're saying, you know what, I could take you down. No problem. I could just a couple of flicks and swipes and you're toast. And the emperor kind of goes, uh, excuse me? And then that's what actually happens. And so my feeling here with the storyline is that you're in a position where if you are feeling threatened or undermined in terms of your self-respect, self-worth, dignity, and mastery, it's almost like you're taking it personally, which in some ways could be the worst thing that you could do. If you are in, let's say, challenging circumstances right now, and you're dealing with it by taking it personally, as though somebody or people or life in the world is out to get you, and you're responding with the sword, so to speak, where you're saying, you know what, watch this, whack, 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 just to prove that you're right and everything is perfect as it is. That could be like almost the worst thing you could do. Um, because it almost like makes the situation even worse, because people start seeing you as like, oh, he's just or she is just like a bombastic, overinflated, self-appointed lord and master of everything, and they intend to prove that all the time. Whereas a truly beloved leader knows when to just say, you know what, it's okay. I understand. I'm a little overweight. Maybe I smoke too much. Maybe I drink too much. Maybe I've, over self-medicated for a long time now. But, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe I should just start, you know, living up to my real awesomeness. If I am supposed to be the emperor, then, maybe I should clean up my act a bit, instead of trying to prove everybody that you're absolutely perfectly right just as you are, even if you're wheezing and puffing and you stink of booze. You see, that's what I'm feeling here. Sorry, I got carried away with the story. I was trying to get the message across in a way that doesn't offend you. I hope you didn't get offended by any of that. Anyway, the Two of Cups here right about now. My feeling is, again, please don't take this personally, Libra. It might be that your sense of magnificence is in question some way, somehow in your life, and you're being challenged in some way, somehow. Your heart knows that. Your heart wants to deal with it, but you, as the ego, the person, might be rising up to it as though you are being questioned in your own magnificence. And what might be triggering that is something very, very simple, something to do with love, the love of self and another, the love of another and you, the love of self and self in the mirror, but in its very, very purest, simplest form. It's almost like right now, what is happening, there is a significant other in your life, in your world, who's trying in their very kindest, sweetest, gentlest ways to drop a very, very, very clear hint to you, Libra, that, oh, you got bad breath. You got bad breath. You need to really fix this, or you need a haircut. You need to. I love you so, so much, but I can't handle you when you always think you're right all the time, and that's not going to work. So that's a problem. Now, this is not a love relationship reading, okay, Libra? But it's hard not to notice the Two of Cups here, and that you are a Libra, the sign of love and relationship. And so anyway, what about here in the decision department? Okay, well, this is turning into a movie. Gosh, what's happening here, Libra? It's like you're in the thick of things, you're in the throe of things, and you're being challenged at your very core. It's almost like a Shakespeare play, and you're rising up to it. There's the romantic factor in the background, which is almost like perhaps a catalyst for the whole thing, where like there's nothing that can be done here except to accept that this is not working. All of this, like the more and more, like if you puff yourself up more and more and more to try and make things right, the worse it's going to get. And so it's really important, like when you're making decisions here, to understand and perhaps let and allow things to fall apart. Like if it's very, 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 very hard for your ego to say, you know what, you're right. I do smoke too much. I do watch too much TV. I do overwork. I am negligent. I haven't paid enough attention to you. I can't help it. I already think I'm just fine as I am, but you keep telling me that there are issues. And they say, yes, I'm just telling you because I love you. Please don't. That's not going to work. It's not going to help. The best thing to do is just let everything fall apart. Admit that you've got problems and allow yourself to have a mental breakdown. I don't do that. I'm the boss. I don't have mental breakdowns. I'm the hero in this movie. Well, you're starting to show signs of becoming totally unglued. Like somebody who sniffed too much glue. I'm sorry. Sorry, Libra. Gosh, I really didn't mean to. Oh, sorry. Please forgive me. But anyway, the thing is, with the decisions, your whole, like, it's almost like your whole capacity to be you and right now is kind of falling apart, maybe because for health reasons, poor lifestyle choices, poor things that happened, or perhaps deeply broken in spirit. You know, that axis that was lit up at the beginning of the month, right over here, where, uh, okay, where the Virgo stuff, the Virgo full moon, right at the beginning of March, would have lit everything up in your 12th house of self-undoing, hospitalization, sickness, and all of that. That would have been over here for you, Libra. And then the consequences are really going to become exposed in a few weeks. That's kind of what I'm sensing. In other words, you might be very, very unaware of how fragile things right now and how much things are falling apart. And it needs to be understood and acknowledged in your decision-making processes that radical change is going to happen, has to happen. Radical decisions have to be made here because there's a lot at stake. It's your own integrity. It's your own heroic self who's at stake here. Let's have a look. How are you going to do this effectively? Okay, take matters in hand. It's almost like reclaim your dignity, but it has to be done at a higher level. Okay, it doesn't mean just like increased. In other words, if all of your sense of happiness and joy and love is dependent on your smokes, your the things that you indulge in that might otherwise be called bad habits, but you love them. You always thought they're good habits because it makes you feel happy. But my feeling here is that it's to do with like, this is not working. This is actually ripping you apart. So it's important to understand now that your whole virility, your whole masculinity, your whole femininity is at stake here as a person, by simply because of, let's say, I would say attitudes. If there's these shifts that have to happen, these transformations, if things are going to fall apart, then the thing is to kind of let them fall apart and allow that, look in the mirror and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. There's all sorts of things. I'm a full-blown alcoholic. I've just never been willing to admit it to myself. I always thought I'm in control of this. I'm the boss of this, and I'm discovering I'm not. And everybody's looking at me funny. Okay, so anyway, consequentially, okay, there is hope, no question about it, Libra. This isn't the end of the story, the end of the movie. We're just living through a chapter. Think of it as a massive, like, online streaming drama, and you're in season 3, episode 7. And this is what's happening. Excuse me, I nearly messed everything up. But there is hope. Guess what? Everything's going to be fine. Okay, you might not understand it or when it's going to happen. Everything is just going to kind of blow up. And as the movie unfolds, you realize that, oh my gosh, this was inevitable. It's inevitable if I'm really honest with myself. There's no point in trying to maintain my dignity by proving that I have to be right the way things are. It's I want to be happy. It's almost like surrendering and saying, you know what, I give up. I give up. I give up. I ask for divine guidance. I ask for healing. The allow everything to fall apart as falling apart. Allow yourself to be hospitalized. Allow yourself to be treated, and allow yourself to be wheeled in on a gurney to where you can get the love and the healing that is available to you. Okay, it's just you're not getting it or wanting it or having it in the way that you want. But now is the time to seize this opportunity for this thing to happen, okay? And understand that you are guided and protected in the process, and you're going to be okay. But it means having to, like, surrender the ego here and step down and just admit to yourself that you need TLC. You need tender, loving care, okay? You need to bring that into yourself, okay? So look, what happens if you mess up? Okay, my feeling here with the Five of Swords is that you end up in a continuous process of just making it worse and worse and worse. If you neglect the way that you're falling apart, so to speak, when you're making decisions, and how you have to make decisions on the understanding that you are falling apart in some part of your life, perhaps particularly in health, like we were talking about, or lifestyle things that include uh, the raw ingredients of pure love relationship, or whatever that might be. If you're not aware of the process and you just carry on as if nothing's wrong, I've already proved that I'm right, I'm just going to keep proving it, I always am right, I always know that, I'm just so awesome, I don't even have to prove it, but if you're forcing me to prove it, I guess I will. Thank you very much. So if you keep behaving that way, you end up in a never-ending lose-lose situation. Whereas if you allow everything to fall apart and get the healing and the love and the treatments that you need, and admit that you've got problems and issues that need tender, loving care, then you don't have to deal with this stuff anymore. It becomes win-win. So the important thing is just understand how, like, I need to be right is not helping you at all. Okay? The energy of lose-lose, the energy of unwinnable conflict. In other words, if you're trying to win the battle just to prove and avoid this, it's a complete waste of time. What the rest of the cards here are saying is you need to understand this and accept this. You cannot win. You're better to surrender, give up, live to fight another day, understand that you're guided and protected in the process, and it's much better to, like, continue on to the next chapter, the next episode, instead of having this the end of the movie. Right now, it's all about getting through this chapter, coming out the other side. Let's be happy. Let's allow love to flow, true love, pure love to flow into your life, okay? So what happens when you do that? You get fresh starts, new opportunities to have brand new perspectives about how this all works. You might have been so completely convinced of your own awesomeness to the point where everyone else in the zodiac is jealous of you. But it's almost gone too far here. That's what I'm feeling. And it's time to understand that this sort of bombastic energy, that can't go on forever. You're human just like the rest of us. We all fall apart. We all have weaknesses somewhere. It's okay to admit it. Brand new start, brand new awakenings, new attitudes, new perceptions, new beliefs on about what actually works, okay? All right, you'll be fine. You can handle it, Libra. I went on a bit long there, I'm sorry. Please reinterpret however you want. Bye for now. Hope I didn't scare you. Gosh, I got so carried away there. Whew. My apologies, Libra, if I hurt your feelings or touched any nerves, okay? Bye-bye. All the best.